It's good to know you've chosen AFRIQUE Media to inform you. Welcome everyone on board. This is a Press Today, an avenue where we review newspapers from Africa and outside the continent. This day we're starting with the Post. It's our publication from Zambia. In the Post newspaper, you can read that MMD member Daniel Monkombwe has said that those who think that President Michael Sata will do just one term amid the support he gets are politically crazy. Monkombwe says the PF should protect Sata and not subject him to only one term. In another report, President Michael Sata threatens to terminate the road contract on the Lusaka-Leopard Hill Road as he warns the contractor in charge over slow works. In the cover picture there, we see President Sata talking to road consultant Levi Zolo during an inspection of construction works of the Lusaka-Chiyawa Road being done by China CGC Company. Over to South Africa, we're looking at what Cape Times has for us today. Cape Times says a defense leader, Musyoa Lekota, was ordered out of Parliament on Tuesday in a curtain raiser for a furious row that saw opposition MPs accuse Deputy Speaker and ANC Chief Whip of abusing the rules of the House and stifling freedom of speech. The paper reveals that so many people are streaming to the Western Cape in search of jobs in spite of an unemployment rate in the province of 21.6%. And we're told that two Cape Town runners are desperately trying to make their way to the USA to participate in the New York City Marathon to hold on Sunday despite the huge storm Sunday. We remain in South Africa. We're looking at Business Day. The South African paper says millions are in exodus to the country's richer provinces in search of jobs and basic government services over the past 10 years. This is the result of a census in 2011 released on Tuesday. Get all the figures and the countings on these edition. The Reserve Bank of South Africa has painted a dim outlook for the economy, warning that there is high probability of global growth and financial shocks that will affect South Africa. Find out why the Public Investment Corporation, the PIC, is defending its decision to vote against the appointment of independent directors at Telkom. Away from that, we're looking at the Wall Street Journal, the Europe edition. Going by the journal, scores of traders at UBS AG were locked out of the Swiss bank's London offices on Tuesday as the institution moved quickly to implement the first of thousands of job cuts in a strategic restructuring. Go to the paper and get the ambitious plan put by Fiat SPA boss Sergio Marchionne to overhaul the IAT brand. An opinion on page 16 has it that Spain has been rescued by intervention but not saved. Sandy has also talked about this issue. The paper says the monster storm is delivering a blow to the U.S. economy that will reverberate for weeks. Billions of dollars worth of property has been destroyed so far. We take you now to the UK. We're looking at The Guardian. Hurricane Sandy is written in most, if not all, the papers these days. The Guardian on its part says, or brings a picture that says a lot about the present situation in New York City. Sandy has caused at least 38 deaths and continues to batter many others. Another story says Lord Hallerstone will today deliver an explosive critique of the government economic policy when he publishes a 6-month study commissioned by Downing Street that dismisses deregulation as the sole path to growth. According to the landmark report, Britain faces a choice between a generation of stagnant living standards for millions of lower-income households or an alternative that tackles low pay, low skills and child care costs. That's according to a landmark report published recently. We take you now to the United Arab Emirates. The paper there is Gulf News. Looking at Gulf News, the paper has on its front page, social sector gets 51% in DH 44.6 billion federal budgets for 2013, a 6.69% increase over that of 2012 budget approved in November last year. And prominent Kuwaiti opposition leader has been arrested as registration process for the parliamentary votes begins. In Syrian news, we are informed that a Syrian fighter jet on Tuesday carried the first plane airstrike in Damascus since the start of the 19-month-old conflict. This is according to a monitoring group. Sandy Fury unleashed, the paper captions. The giant storm tears down power lines, sparks fires, and leaves a trail of flooding that and destruction. We look at the Wall Street Journal, the Asian edition of the paper reports that Obama and Romney have shifted the campaign plans to the devastating Sandy storm that left millions along the U.S. East Coast without power on Tuesday. The mega storm has killed at least 17 people in 7 states, and more than 8 million homes are without power. The paper says the losses of Sandy may exceed those of 2011 storm. In business news, we're told that Apple Incorporation executive Scott Forstall was asked to leave the company after he refused to sign his name to a letter apologizing for shortcomings in Apple's new mapping service. And China's banks have been building up their bulwarks against bad loans amid other signs that growth is picking up again. Round off today with USA Today. USA Today wouldn't have left out what's hitting the headlines Sunday. The paper outlines that millions of people are without power and 17 people have died from the storm. The front page picture shows a parking lot full of yellow cabs flooded as a result of the huge storm in Hoboken, that's in New Jersey. The impacts of the storm are far-reaching, the paper writes. The paper also seeks to know if this election will be a replay of that of the year 2000. It says a split decision, recounts and voting problems could reopen old wounds as the final chapter of the 2000 presidential campaign is hard to forget. The paper says average used and new light vehicle prices hit an all-time high in 2011, and there's been rising auto prices since 2009. You can get plenty of all the news from these papers. Remember, we bring to you just your headlines. Go get them and read more. Thank you for trusting us. Stay with us for more news.